Gentle members of the Prepared Mind Network, welcome back to another exciting vanilla flavored edition of my opinion about what's going on out there and why we should be concerned. When I came onto the scene with this prepping channel years ago, it was just me in my office, me on my front porch, me talking to you, and I use a lot of profanity, a lot of harsh language. I come from a world of construction. I come from the Marine Corps. I come from a upbringing in a rough community. You know, it's, every part of the country has their own communities that are rough and tumble. Mine was in its own way rough and tumble. But I spice my language with foul language to not only desensitize people, but to bring them into a reality where that is going to be the least of their worries when shit hits the fan. So, was I just a crude, crass individual? Did my language preclude me from being able to use words other than profanity? You know, in other words, am I smart or stupid? Right? Well, apparently I can speak effectively, but I chose to use harsh language because of what I saw coming. I was able to predict this hardening, this social direction we're going. Right? I've got an article here from thehill.com. F-bombs away, why lawmakers are cursing now more than ever. It's not because they want to be like me. None of them know who I am. But why? And we're not talking about local politicians. We're talking about the President of the United States. We're talking about Democrat candidates like Bernie Sanders and Cory Spartacus Booker. And even this election's sacrificial nerd Beto O'Rourke, he's dropped the F-bomb literally. Literally he did. Right? What did he do? He stood up, and after being asked by a reporter about what Trump could do in response to a mass shooting in El Paso, O'Rourke said, quote, "He's been calling Mexican immigrants rapists and criminals. Members of the press, what the fuck?" Right? Booker also used less than flowery language after Trump blamed in part video games for the recent gun violence. "Listen to the president, such a bullshit soup of ineffective words," Booker said in a text message. Now, you know, even Trump, right? I guess he used the word hell like 7 times in a speech the other night, right? The language is becoming more coarse. So good thing we're used to hearing it, right? We know that these words are out here. They're making their way not only into presidential candidates and the president himself, but the Senate, Congress, the news media. And what is it symptomatic of, right? If I've been cussing and we're supposed to be right-wing radicals, shouldn't I only be using foul language? Shouldn't I become very violent and crazy? Shouldn't I be worse today than I was 5 years ago? Actually, I think I cuss quite a lot less in these videos. It's not just that I'm calmer, I'm more relaxed, or have a better understanding of where we're going. It's just I feel that we're getting enough of it in other places that I don't have to be on here demanding that people stiffen up, toughen up, get some thicker skin. You know, for our part, we're thinkers. And yeah, I've got some rough edges and some sharp corners, but that's just who I am as a person. These politicians are something of a different of a different flavor. Excuse me. What we call foul language typically is incendiary. It tends to excite people. You know, if you've ever been in a board meeting and someone uses the F-bomb, I don't fucking buy that, right? It gets everyone's attention because you're not used to seeing it in that environment or hearing it. We're not used to hearing this. By the way, I have some oatmeal stuck in my throat, I guess. We're not used to seeing this or hearing it from our politicians. But because of what is coming, because of this social and political gamesmanship and games that are being played, we're going to see more of this. Politicians are becoming impassioned. But what are they pushing their people to become? Right? Am I pushing everyone to go out and kill? Do I talk about taking action against others? Or do I say you need to train and have a defense so that if you're attacked, if you're put in a position where you need to defend yourself? When you look at what politicians are saying, right? I don't hear Trump as a racist. I just can't hear it. I haven't heard him say all Mexicans are rapists and murderers. I've heard him talk about rapists and murderers that are illegal that are Mexican or from Central and South America. I've heard him do that, but I don't hear racism there. I hear an identification of a problem and a solution that goes with it. Right? I don't hear violence coming from Trump, but I do hear violence coming from Democrats. Right? Whether it be Booker. Socialism is a political ideology that has at its core a belief that violence is useful and necessary to accomplish its means, its revolutionary takeover, if it can't do so peacefully in the ballot box. Socialists have murdered more people on this planet than any other group. So when I hear politicians calling for socialism, which is inherently violent, Bernie Sanders, Beto O'Rourke, Hillary Clinton, when I hear a call for socialism, and then they start using incendiary language, like you should chase them out, you don't allow these people to eat in restaurants and shop in stores, harass them, go to their homes, right? Protest against them. And then you start hearing their language become more aggressive, not just in the discussion points and what they're recommending, but the use of profanity. Like I said, it's incendiary. It gets people's attention. It wakes them up. Right? Who else did this? Oh, yes, our good buddy, Robert De Niro. Hey, Bob, right? Go fuck yourself. When he says fuck Trump, it's different than when I say fuck Trump. Or you, because we're really very small. But someone like Robert De Niro gets a lot of press attention. And to show that sort of hostility towards the president, not just, hey, you're a jackass. Let's tone it down again. Let's just say, what if he came out and said, hey, you're a jerk, Trump? Or maybe he came out and said, I don't really care for Trump. Or let's take it down another notch. Never Trump. No, let's take it down another notch. I don't like Trump. I don't think you should vote for him. You see how all of those levels come down? Starting with, I don't like Trump, you shouldn't vote for him. Never Trump. Right? He's a jerk, I don't like him. All the way up to, fuck Trump. The escalation in language, right, creates a desire on the part of people who share that same opinion to take action. The very thing that Democrats accuse us of, which is instigating violence, becoming violent, the violent right wing, radical right extremists, all of the things they heap on us is because that's what they are doing and believing for themselves. That they need to get louder, that they need to be more aggressive. Right? Antifa says the only good fascist is a dead fascist. And then they say, if you don't agree with us, you must be a fascist. If you have any symbol on your body, you must be a fascist. If you aren't Antifa, you're a fascist, and all fascists need to die. What they're calling for is the extermination of everybody who doesn't think like them. So when you take that attitude and that willingness to take action against others, including all of the memes where it shows a girl with a black eye, and then they talk about how 53% of women voted for Trump and fascism is not to be tolerated, they're accusing those women of being fascist and saying and showing with a picture, which is very symbolic and graphic, that women should be abused, and it's okay at that point. That shows you how dangerous socialism is. And the coupling of violence and violent words creates a recipe for the next level of shit that's coming. It's already started. Like I said, I've been talking about it for years, the need to toughen up, to understand this language is coming. And that this language really is nothing compared to the violence that's coming. We have seen, right, a retarded person beat up by leftists because He was a Trump person. He was tortured online, live on Facebook. We've seen women beaten, literally. We've seen old men beaten. We saw, was it Andy, the journalist, got contusion, concussion, brain damage, blood, liquids on the brain. He had to be hospitalized because of a beating by these people. But when their leadership up at the very top starts using incendiary language, the recommendation of taking action against political opponents, and then increasing it yet again with foul language, cussing, it lets us know where they are going because they're calling for that. Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, Tea Partiers, the people who are not like that, who want the Constitution and freedom, we are saying we're going to defend ourselves if you come right at us. And so these people like the Proud Boys and others who go to these protests wanting to express themselves, wanting to enjoy the exercise of their First Amendment. They're not doing anything wrong, but they are. They're joining and increasing the amount of friction and tension. It would be great if Antifa went on a march and nobody showed up. Nobody who, if the police weren't there and Republican counter protesters weren't there and the media didn't show up and they just stood around in a park chanting at each other, they would have to go away. No one would give a fuck. You see, but by giving them the attention, they want more and they're craving more and they think they're getting somewhere with their movement because of the press. And at first they weren't getting anywhere and then they became violent. Once again, violence is key to getting the attention they want. The same way these leftist, liberal, socialist mass shooters are coming out, pretending to be right-wingers or extreme right or racist right. They're coming out to get attention. They want to draw attention to their cause. Their cause is violence and violent change. And the language being used by politicians isn't helping because they themselves are encouraging action that's turning out to be negative action on the left. And they're encouraging it with the use of more and more and more coarse language. F-bombs, literally F-bombs, are becoming the bombs, right? They're verbal bombs that are going off, whether it's the F-bomb or the use of the word shit or whatever. It's going to get worse before it gets any better. And it's going to get more violent before it becomes more peaceful. We're going to have shit hitting the fan before we get to the next paradigm. So be prepared, right? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense to protect yourself from the violence that's inherent in the system. That's one for all of you Holy Grail fans. There is violence inherent in the system, and it's being expressed more and more openly. It's because I believe we're going to have a type of civil war, a type of revolution. I believe we're going to have partisan conflict in the streets. I believe the people are going to go after each other, right? And there's a lot coming down. You need to defend yourself. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Take a look at this article. Read it. Check it out. Think for yourself. Come up with your own conclusions, right? That's what this is all about, thinking. I'll talk to you all later.